everyone, welcome to our first episode of Build by Visible. I'm your host, Dami Oludumila. And I'm really, really excited for us to, get to know each other, for us to have really great conversations. Join with me is my co-host, Yemi. Yemi, say hi to the people.
Hey guys, how are you doing? This is Yemi, Dami's co-host.
Yemi what? Yemi Adegbayi.
Yemi Adegbayi, Dami's co-host.
Anyways, we're so glad to have you on this podcast. We're super excited for this conversation. But before we start, I'm just going to introduce myself a little bit and then have Yemi introduce himself. So my name is Dami, as I said. I'm a program manager at Webflow and the founder of Vizible. And I'm super excited to be having this conversation, just from my experience being in the tech space for over 7 years. But yeah, I won't go too into it. I'll just let Yemi introduce himself, and then we can kind of just chat a little bit about what this podcast is about.
Yeah, I will go into it, by the way, because why
Yeah,
not?
you
So,
will be extra.
I'm Yemi. Like Dami said, we've been working in and around tech for the past, I think, 7 to 9 years, based on what you count as working in tech. And then over that period, I've worn about 4 different hats. So, founder, operator, advisor, investor. And I think most recently, the two things I do simultaneously is I work as a VC investor with Telecom Capital, and then also work as a partner with Nano Traction. Over the course of the podcast, you definitely get to learn more about these companies and then what I do and what Dami does also.
It's crazy though. I didn't know we were going to go too into it. I just kind of gave you guys the small thing, but I also have played different roles. I think I've done everything but investor. I played
Yeah,
founder,
I offered
operator.
Dami a check and then she's like, yeah, she doesn't want to invest in my company. Yeah,
Nah,
she would have said she
I
was an
don't.
investor also. But,
But actually, that's true. That's true. I never followed through with that. But it's all
you
good. It's in
just
the past.
ghosted me like a Lagos woman.
Yeah, it's in my blood. You can take a woman out of Lagos, but not Lagos out of a woman. Anyway, so let me just give you a quick overview of what Build is about. So Build is a podcast. Surprise, surprise. And we're going to be having very interesting conversations about the African tech scene. We're going to be talking to African operators, founders, investors. And we're just going to be having really practical conversations with the people building in Africa or people who have built in Africa. And we just want to learn from them, from their experience, playing different roles and, their journey, and some of the advice that they would give to people who are hoping to follow their path. Yemi, do you have anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I think as you shared what we're building, it's important to also share why we're doing
Right.
this. And then the why essentially is in different capacities, we've had conversations with and interacted with different people. And then one thing that stands out is people just don't know what they don't know. And then there are a lot of people that assume them to know these things. And a practical example of this, for example, is someone raises their first round. So this is a pre-seed or a seed, whichever you choose to raise first. And you grow. Like you're building a great product, you're making revenue, and then suddenly it's time to raise your Series A. And then investors start to talk about things like you don't have the right team. But then to the life of you, this is the first time you've ever built a company and no one has told you what that means. And suddenly you're running around because it's a yellow flag for some investors. Some investors will pass on you, though you have traction. But then no one just ever told you these are things you needed to do beyond growing. So that's an example of one of the things, but we're essentially trying to answer all these different questions that different people have by having conversations with the people that have gone through the process, like Dami said. So founders who are building and who have built past the stage where you are, investors across different stages. So early stage investors, seed stage investors, growth stage investors who are looking for different things. and then would like to put them on the hot seat so they can tell founders what exactly it is that they're looking for. And then finally, also conversations with operators. And we're trying to make this a mix of conversations with local operators who operate in African markets, and then also operators of African descent or African operators like Dami, who operate with tier one global startups, understand what happens in the market, but then also the experience from working either in big tech or in startups that have grown very far across the globe.
Wow, that's like so interesting.
Mouthful.
Yeah,
Boom.
it's a mouthful, but it's going to be really great. Like, I think I really love how you're not like putting ourselves in a box. We're just going to be having different conversations and just learning from different people, because there is a lot to learn from people in the ecosystem and outside the ecosystem. So yeah, I mean, why are we qualified to have this conversation? By the way, like, you just said a lot of words.
Yeah. So let's go back to my CV. Yeah, I'll tell you what my CV says. My CV says Yemi has attempted to build companies. Yemi has
Keyword attempted.
advised a lot of companies over the years, and this was as an advisor primarily with Textbook. So a couple of friends and I started a tech exhibition. This was in 2017, very early ecosystem days for a lot of people. There are OGs that's like late ecosystem days for, but very early ecosystem days for a lot of people. And then through that process, I've had to work with a lot of startups, and then finally, like, my primary job now is quite literally investing in startups. So I go from the beginning process to the end. And then there are lots of things that we notice. And this is both from companies we don't invest in and in portfolio companies. And then because we have that knowledge, we're able to curate content that should be helpful for you. And then also we kind of have like a bit of a network in the ecosystem. We're like one or two calls away from most people, so that we would be able to definitely bring in exciting people to talk about their experiences. Dami, please, why are you qualified?
Is anyone really qualified for anything? Is my
Dami's
answer.
about to give us a Milocon. That's why.
My turn. No. So, I think I've been in the ecosystem for 7 years, and it's just been really interesting to see how it has grown. Tech, like being a startup, used to be something that was a little out of reach for most people. Even working in tech was something that wasn't really like mainstream. 6 to 7 years ago. In at least if I can speak for Nigeria, in Nigeria. But right now it's like, oh, the hot thing, right? And so just being around and watching how things have kind of progressed in the ecosystem, I've been able to learn a couple of things, see really interesting things, see some mistakes some people might have made, see some things that could have been done better. And so just being around for a long time, being very active, being observant, even though I'm not in the country, I've been very close to the ecosystem because that's where I started, right? So I'm really close to like some of the OGs, I would say, Yemi included, because Yemi is a big boy in the ecosystem. But so I've kind of just not had a lot of interesting conversations, learned a lot of interesting things about startups. And I just kind of think that it's time to kind of just share some of those learnings and also just have interesting conversations with some of the people who have been part of like, that progression, right? So that's why I believe I'm qualified to have this conversation. And with these few points of mine, I hope I've been able to confuse you and not convince you.
You heard that
um,
first here. This is Dami giving back. So we should expect periodic giveaways for Dami as she's not with us. Like, the supper that's holding us is very different from the
yeah,
one that's holding her.
please, no. I, what you
Well,
say,
on a
Jerry?
lighter note, Dami, can you maybe share a bit more on what people can expect from the podcast? How often we're going to be jumping and dropping these episodes?
Yeah, for sure. So we'll be having a new episode every 2 weeks. The episodes are going to be really long. They're really long. So we recorded a ton of the conversations, and we thought, oh, maybe it'd be like 30, 45 minutes max conversation. bro. It's like 1 hour, 1 hour, 10 minutes, but none of the conversations include fluff. Like it's literally just like the guests telling their stories and walking you end to end through their experience and tell you about some of the mistakes that they made, some of the things that they could have done better. So I promise you it's going to be worth it. So we're going to make it two once every 2 weeks so that you can have the 2 weeks to really listen to the 1 hour episodes. But yeah, you can expect a new episode every 2 weeks. It will be very interesting, very actionable, and very straight to the point, right? So yeah, if you want to get more information, you can, subscribe to Visible, visible.substack.com, or check out our website at visible.africa. That's Visible spelled with like a V. And then you can also follow Visible
It's a
Africa.
V and a Z.
A V
Dami,
and
Visible always
Visible.
starts with a V.
No, Visible is spelled like the actual word is actually Visible. So that's why I said visible with a Z, because it's like instead of S, it's a Z. Anyway, I don't know why I'm
Uh,
mansplaining, but you can follow us on Twitter at Visible Africa on Twitter, so you can catch us there. And we're really excited. So if you have like anyone you like for us to talk to, anyone you like to be a part of this, any topics that you like for us to discuss, you can always send it to us on Twitter, or you can email me at dooms@visible.africa. So that's I have to spell everything. DUMSS at visible.africa. Yemi, is there anything else you want to add to this?
yeah, I don't have a Visible email because evidently I'm not a full
Because you didn't
employee.
ask. Yemi didn't
But
ask.
yeah, you can reach me on Twitter. Twitter handle is Yemi A underscore. So any questions, any topics you think that we should share or discuss, and we'll very happily discuss these topics. And also,
Cool. And also what?
and also nothing.
What ended the sentence with that also? Who taught you English? Anyway. So yeah, that's it from us today. Thank you so much for listening to our trailer. This is the trailer episode. We're just like bantering, the bill of banter, just because I like to be for trouble. But we're really looking forward to sharing on some of the interesting learnings and interesting conversations we've had with you. So stay with us, okay? It'll be worth it, I promise. Okay, thank you so much. We will see y'all in the next episode. Bye. Bye.